Imagine a place where ancient mist-shrouded temples are standing literally just miles away from glittering, hypermodern skyscrapers. It's a place that serves as this bustling, chaotic crossroads of the world, and yet it remains fiercely, undeniably distinct in its identity. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the story of a rapidly evolving, truly multi-dimensional nation. We're talking about a story of ancient empires, of powerful monsoons, economic miracles, and, well, some pretty hidden divides. We're pulling back the curtain on the Kingdom of Thailand.
Now, to really understand this country, we first have to confront a profound historical mystery. How did one nation survive the era of empires completely untouched? Seriously, think about it. Back in the 19th and early 20th centuries, Western colonial powers swallowed up almost the entire map of Southeast Asia. You had the British advancing from the west and the south, the French pushing in from the east, and yet Siam, the nation that we now call Thailand, was literally the only Southeast Asian state to completely avoid colonization. So how did they pull that off? Well, it was this fascinating mix of strategic concessions, rapid modernization, and brilliantly playing these massive empires against one another, basically turning their land into an indispensable buffer state. Let's dive into the foundations of this remarkable survival.
Chapter 1. The Land of the Free.
You know, the very name of the country itself actually holds a massive clue to its resilience. According to the acclaimed historian George Coates, the word Thai etymologically translates to free man. Historically, this term was used to differentiate the Thai people from the native populations who were often encompassed into society as serfs. Think about that for a second. The whole concept of freedom, of absolute independence, isn't just some political talking point for them. It is literally written right into the nation's name. It's the absolute core of their cultural DNA.
And this deeply ingrained identity, it forged an incredibly resilient civilization over the centuries. Really, it's a story of constant reinvention. Back in 1238, the Sukhothai kingdom rose up, which is widely considered the beginning of Thai history. Then, moving on to 1351, the Ayutthaya kingdom took over, transforming into this massive regional power that actually replaced the Khmer Empire. Ayutthaya flourished for centuries, until a devastating war with the Burmese in 1767 left it completely destroyed. But the Thai people didn't just vanish. No way. In almost the blink of a historical eye, they rebuilt. The Thonburi kingdom emerged, though it lasted just 15 years, before the dawn of the Ratanakosin kingdom in 1782. That era moved the capital over to Bangkok and established the very dynasty and center of power that continues to shape the nation we see today.
Good, human history is really only half the story here. Chapter 2, Empires and Monsoons.
Thailand's entire rhythm of life is completely governed by two massive, contrasting weather systems. From mid-May to mid-October, you have the southwest monsoon sweeping in. Driven by these intense winds off the Indian Ocean, it drops absolutely colossal amounts of rain. Then the northeast monsoon takes over from mid-October to mid-February, bringing a dry season with much milder temperatures. Now you might be wondering, why does this matter so much? Because those torrential rains feed the mighty Chao Phraya and Mekong rivers. These rivers are the absolute lifeblood of rural Thailand. They transform the landscape into this agricultural powerhouse that's made the country one of the world's leading exporters of rice for generations.
That agricultural wealth definitely laid the groundwork, but modern Thailand has built something much, much larger on top of it. Which brings us to Chapter 3, the economic engine.
Today, Thailand is a newly industrialized regional power with a staggering economic story. Sure, we still see rice, but it's now surrounded by cars, computers, and electrical appliances. Get this, did you know that the Thai automotive industry is the largest in Southeast Asia and the 9th largest in the entire world? Yeah, 9th. They produce nearly 1.5 million vehicles every single year. Exports account for more than 2/3 of the country's entire gross domestic product. They basically act as an anchor economy for neighboring developing nations, pumping out over $105 billion worth of goods and services annually. It's a massive operation.
But of course, let's be real, when most of the world thinks of Thailand, they don't exactly picture computer chips and pickup trucks, right? They think of tourism. When you combine the direct and indirect economic impacts, tourism makes up roughly 20.2% of Thailand's entire GDP. That's a huge slice of the pie. Before global disruptions, millions of visitors poured into the country every single year, drawn to the historical sites of Bangkok, the lush trekking mountains up north, and those pristine beaches of the Andaman Sea. It is a vital, massive pillar of their modern survival.
Yet, if we only look at the glossy tourist brochures and the booming export charts, we miss the complex, often really challenging reality of the people who actually make this engine run. We have to examine Chapter 4,
the hidden divide.
62.6%. According to estimates, this is the massive percentage of the Thai workforce that operates in the informal economy. That means the vast majority of the nation's workers, many of whom actually migrated from rural farms to urban centers right after that brutal 1997 Asian financial crisis, they are laboring without basic employee status. We're talking no standard labor protections, no social security, and no fair wage guarantees that the formal sectors provide. It's a pretty sobering reminder of the very real human cost behind all that rapid industrialization.
And unfortunately, that divide gets even deeper. 79%. According to a landmark 2014 report by Credit Suisse, this is the amount of the country's assets held by just the top 10% of the population. Furthermore, the top 1% holds 58% of the wealth. To put that into perspective, research highlighted by the Bank of Thailand actually noted that just 5% of the largest companies accounted for 85% of all corporate revenue. So it's an economy of spectacular wealth generation, absolutely, but also one characterized by stark inequality, leaving millions vulnerable despite the nation's overall growth.
Now, these internal challenges are compounding at exactly the same time that the very makeup of the Thai people is undergoing a massive seismic shift. Let's step into our final chapter, a changing identity.
The country right now is facing a stark demographic cliff. Check this out. Back in 1960, Thailand's total fertility rate was a very healthy 3.1, but by 2024, that number plummeted to an ultra-low 1.0. Today, more than 20% of the population is over the age of 60. What happened was a highly successful government-sponsored family planning program in the past has basically resulted in a rapidly aging population today. With a shrinking workforce and lower productivity growth on the horizon, this demographic winter poses a massive new economic hurdle that the kingdom simply has to find a way to clear.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful historical metaphor, the policy of the bamboo bending with the wind. That is exactly how they survived the era of empires. It's how they rebuilt after the fall of their ancient kingdoms. They are always solidly rooted in their culture, their monarchy, and their core identity as free men. Yet they are pragmatic enough to adapt to the fierce storms of global change. So the really provocative question we're left with today is this. As they face an aging population, deep wealth divides, and totally shifting global supply chains, will the bamboo be flexible enough to survive the winds of the 21st century? That is the fascinating reality of Thailand. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive has given you a totally new lens through which to view this incredible nation. Keep learning, and I will see you next time.